Okay, I have a few thoughts out there about the UFC. I've been doing a lot of research online, and one of my favorite fighters in the UFC just happens to be Tito Ortiz. Now, I know a lot of people cannot stand Tito Ortiz, a lot of people hate Tito Ortiz, but he happens to be one of my favorite fighters. Now, why is he one of my favorite fighters in the UFC? I don't really know. I've always liked his fighting style. I've always liked the way he taunts people. And has he done some things that are unsportsmanlike? Yeah, I think so. But it made it exciting. You know, the whole thing with him flipping off Ken Shamrock's corner and starting a bunch of trash there. It was good for the sport because it created a lot of attention. A lot of people wanted to see, you know, Tito get tore up by Ken Shamrock, which didn't happen. But I have to tell you, my favorite fight in UFC history is Tito Ortiz, Ken Shamrock 1. That was an awesome fight. Ken Shamrock showed amazing heart. He stayed in there. He didn't give up. He got tore up, but he still kept coming. The guy would not fall. He would not give up, and I thought that was awesome. Now, here's the thing. I can't stand Dana White. I think he's an arrogant guy. I think he's one of these people who is doesn't think of the sport. He doesn't think of the fans. He's all about making money. And I personally think he's a little punk, and I think he ought to hop in the ring with anybody. I don't care who. Any UFC fighter. I think Dana White ought to hop in the ring just once so he can be a bit humbled. Because I don't care what anybody says. From everything that's been going on in the UFC lately, Dana White is going to end up ruining the UFC. Randy Couture has expressed the way he's been treated by Dana White. Tito Ortiz, obviously, which most people don't care about. A lot of people don't know that Dana White used to be Tito Ortiz's manager, and he's constantly says how much he can't stand Tito. Dana just, oh, I hate Tito, I can't stand him, he's a little punk. But, you know, like it or not, Dana White seems to be running a lot of fighters away out of the UFC. And you've got this, Elite XC, I think, out there, and a few other organizations who are up and coming. And I just hate to see what's going on out there with the UFC because of Dana White and the way he treats the fighters. What do you guys think about this? Do you think it is really Dana White causing these problems? And where does Tito go from here? He's got one more fight on his contract. I believe he's fighting again in April. And what do you guys think? Where does he go from here? He's made it clear he plans on fighting another 2 to 3 years. So I think we'll see him around. But where? Where do you think Tito's going from here? For those of you who care, I know a lot of you don't care. But that brings up another good point. What about Randy Couture? Where is he going to fight now? He obviously has nothing to do with the UFC anymore. He still had a fight or two left on his contract, and he just walked away from it. Where does that leave people like him? Several fighters have expressed that when their contract runs out with UFC, they will not be renewing it unless some major changes are made. Oh, by the way, speaking of Elite XC and some other places, did you see the Kimbo Slice Tank Abbott fight? It wasn't much of a fight. Tank got his butt handed to him. That guy has lost more fights than he's won. And I tried really hard to like Tank Abbott. Back in the early days, I really enjoyed his fighting. I tried so hard to like the guy. And he talks a good game, but he just can't back it up. I don't know what it is with this guy. I was really rooting for him. I really wanted him to be a great fighter. But I think his pride kind of got in the way, and he wasn't willing to go into the gym and actually learn what he needed to do. I think he had great potential as a fighter, but he wanted to just keep this I'm a street brawler type attitude. And if he had just learned a little bit of jiu-jitsu or something, at least some kind of takedown defense, some kind of, I don't know. He needed to learn at least submission defense. What's amazing to me and what's a little bit ironic is the same thing happened to Tank Abbott. What just recently happened to the wrestler Brock Lesnar by the same guy. Okay, they both got tapped out by leg locks. Tank Abbott Brock Lesnar both got tapped out by Frank Mir with the same exact move. Did you notice that? It was like Brock Lesnar was a repeat of Tank Abbott, the same exact thing. By all accounts, I think Tank Abbott should have won that fight against Frank Mir. I think Brock Lesnar should have won the fight against Frank Mir, but they simply did not know enough about defense when it came to submissions. I think both of them could have easily won that fight if they hadn't got caught with the leg locks, which, you know, hey, it's fair is fair. Frank Mir won it fair and square, but I think he's lucky in a sense that these guys did not know how to defend against those kind of moves. But I know I'm going all over the place here with this, but I'm really upset with how the UFC is going right now. Also, here's another thing. A lot of people don't know this. I was a huge fan of Andrei Arlovski. He was doing awesome. He lost twice to Tim Sylvia, and then we just didn't see him again after that. Well, I think it was the very last UFC fight. He was on the daggum undercard. I had to go on the internet to see the fight. Why in the world would they put this guy on an undercard fight? That makes no sense to me. This was one of the greatest heavyweight champions for quite a while. I mean, this guy's an amazing athlete, and they throw him on the daggum undercard. What is up with that? They put two other people on undercard fights that they actually showed at the end. Once the UFC main event was over, sometimes they show extra fights that were on the undercard. They didn't even show this guy on the undercard fight. You had to go on the internet to find the fight. That is pathetic. I mean, you've got a high profile guy out there, and you're going to throw him on the undercard and not even show it on the pay-per-view event? That's ridiculous. What's going on with that? Anyway, this has been kind of a dumb little rant here, but I made this video because I want to know, what do you guys think about this whole situation with UFC? Are you losing faith in it a little bit? What fighting company are you going to go with as far as future events? What are you going to start watching? Who are you going to start rooting for? Anyway, let me know what you think about this whole fiasco with the UFC and with Randy Couture, Tito Ortiz, and all these other guys who say they're not re-signing with UFC. They're going elsewhere. What do you think? Let me know. Talk to you soon.
Baba boy, baba boy, baba boy.